Before we begin, thank you to everyone who follows this project with interest. I must warn you, in this episode, things get really strange. Knights. In the history of humankind on Earth, this title originally described warriors on horseback in the plains of Central Asia. Later, the Greeks and Romans elevated it to a prestigious title due to the cost of maintaining the animals, and still later, during the Middle Ages, it came to designate nobles in the service of a great lord, or lords themselves, generally trained in weaponry and with the resources to acquire the highest quality weapons, both to protect themselves and their mounts and to bring death to their enemies. It is this image that fascinates me, a man at arms, clad entirely in armor. To his opponent, often less well equipped than he, it must have been a terrible sight. On the planet of Quryn, knights are the ultimate weapon of war, soldiers augmented by the esoteric arts of both East and West. They are the product of a term coined by the old White Empire, modern warfare. The Taolin were the originators of these modern knights, though the title was already popular in places like Danri. The Green Paladins of King Artnin and their adventures are well known in the West, a blend of history and myth. But today's living weapons are very real and terrifying. The first generation of knights dates back many centuries. The Taolin had annexed the Masad, built their capital, and were now advancing on Caldavia with an army of silver and gold. But the Kadar tribe repelled them time and time again, living up to their claims of divinity. The Taolin entrusted the solution to their problem to two individuals, Marshal Jan Lei Luhan and Archmage Ra of the Lancet. The objective: to create soldiers who matched the power and technology of their enemies. To this end, various methods were developed. The mages of Kudamar, masters of miracles and the currents of time, were involved, and Shara united them in a coalition with the Koldun sect of sorcerers, creators of chimeras, who had long been persecuted by the Kadar. From this coalition, the Order of the Surgeon Mages was born. The first experiments ended in disaster, and the resulting knights were almost entirely wiped out. If any knights, products of those monstrous rites, remain after so many centuries, they are undoubtedly a bane to modern tribes, a nightmare from times past. But from the second generation onward, who were mostly Taolin, we see what modern knights are: super soldiers, tireless, physically powerful, tall, swift, and perceptive, often possessing abilities unimaginable to the rest of humanity. Not just anyone can become a knight. The mages say that the tapestry, the source of magic, contracts and expands around certain individuals. It's not just about strength or a martial disposition, but generally one will seek clarity from the Magi in vain. The way to create a knight involves taking away from a person what they don't need and giving them what they do. And this varies from night to night, because not two are alike. Now, one must ask, what does a weapon need? Clearly, not a heart, but perhaps balance, perhaps robustness. But not everything can be achieved through the miracles of the Magi. The body is bound by physical laws, and so the surgeons saw potential in the use of a coveted substance, incursion, pale thread. Processed, this iridescent substance conducts electricity, achieves unparalleled strength, and can be used to create thin or thick tubes, impenetrable tissues, and even mimic muscle fibers. The net is grafted where muscle mass has been removed. Often, bone lengthening is performed beforehand, and the Magi instruct the thread to act as a fixative around screws and nodes, over which they whisper complex protocols. The fey thread also functions as a connection interface with modern warfare weapons, specifically designed to be carried by knights, complex machines that become one, literally and metaphorically, with their user. The final step in creating a knight is a visit to the weaving wells. These are also nodes, a vast machine where paradoxes and miracles are articulated, and the individual who emerges is given a chance to continue existing. But there is a cost. Knights often live far longer than any human. Nevertheless, an equal number die prematurely or lose their minds, becoming what is known as a lost knight. Such is the price of containing a miracle. The knights aren't just an excuse I found to put robots in Warn. Although the designs of Miguel Lopez Hall and Tom Bloom's fantastic Lancer were a clear inspiration, I could also mention another tabletop role-playing game and the strange knights of Chris McDowell's mythic Bastionland, which shows us that this is an archetype with enormous personality. On the other hand, Warn doesn't fall into the cyberpunk genre, so my cyborgs have an organic component, perhaps inspired by the best mecha saga that is not quite mecha, Evangelion, or its predecessors, the warrior gods of Nausicaa. No, the Knights of the Ringed World are two things: another aid in my quest to blend fiction genres, and the embodiment of the price humanity must pay for its desire for absolute dominion. This video is already long, and I have left some things out, like what the Knight Orders are, or could we call them models maybe? Where the Fate thread comes from, and what powers these characters have. I feel that the Knights are some of the most extreme characters in Warn. I took my first steps in this project hesitantly. Only as new designs and pages accumulated did I realize that what I want to present is a reality interrupted by highly stylized elements. What do you think? Tell me below how you find the strangest elements in Warn. Leave a like and follow me on social media, where I share video previews.